Thank you so much, viewers, for staying with us here on ZBC TV. This is your premium show, Economics 101, that takes a look at all things to do with tracking of Vision 2030, as well as an appreciation and tracking, once again, of the gross domestic product in Zimbabwe. Now, we take a look at our country and our nation, Zimbabwe, like any other country which has been affected by the effects of a climate with poor harvests due to drought being a common feature of the agricultural front for decades. Now, with dams operating below capacity and climate change increasingly bringing unfavorable farming conditions, the government has introduced various programs to fast-track the development of irrigation infrastructure as the country moves to climate-proof agriculture to boost production and, of course, give impetus to drive and to attain an upper middle income economy. Now, my name is Kurtley Gwindi, and joining me to unpack this conversation here on Economics 101 and much more is Ivani Mutindindi, who is giving us an appreciation with regards to her aspect and view as a professional as well as expert in water reticulation systems. Now, thank you so much for joining us here on Economics 101.
Thank you so much.
Yes, it is indeed a pleasure to be having you. This has been indeed a conversation that has a long time coming with regards to your perspective and view. But generally, perhaps if you give us an overview as well as your stance with regards to climate change, in particular relation to the Zimbabwean economy.
Oh, thank you very much. So when we talk of climate change, we are talking of a worldwide problem. So Zimbabwe is not exempted from the challenge. We are saying the normal rainfall patterns that we used to receive is no longer the same that we are receiving at the current present moment. So we are saying climate change is affecting our agriculture. We are no longer able to produce as we used to do because the rainfall pattern has since changed. If we are to track back as well, we're used to plant our crops around September, October, but now we are moving to January. Why? Because of the effects of climate change. So I can articulate to say climate change has really affected our economy, and it has affected Zimbabwe at large.
Oh yes, and we are looking at the key players. These are people such as the farmers themselves who are now adapting smart solutions, and some of these solutions include the search for water in other means. What can you say have been some of the solutions that have been put as a measure in light of such conditions?
Okay, so now that because we are no longer relying with surface water, there have been boreholes that are being drilled countrywide. If we can take, our president brought that we're going to be having a lot of boreholes in all provinces. It's a solution that we're trying to at least extract the underground water so that people can have access to water for agriculture purposes and even for home use.
Oh yes.
Yes.
So it's particularly with the issue to do with commercial farming, which plays a huge impediment with regards to the structure as well as speed of how our economy grows, knowing that obviously agriculture is a huge part of Zimbabwe's gross domestic product. Now, how best has perhaps, as you've cited, the borehole industry been important? We do know that we are looking at statistics like 3,500 boreholes that were recently drilled over the past year, and I know within your industry you had a huge particular attention that you paid to that project according to the presidential scheme, particularly in the Manicaland province. Now, please tell us how effective has that been with regards to development of the nation?
Oh, thank you so much. So what I can see now that we have realized that the challenge is here, the climate change is here, we are saying we need production. There is need for us to continue. Zimbabwe once was a breadbasket of Africa. So what we are saying is there's a solution. There's the underground water. So boreholes can be drilled. We can use the underground water to at least have the same production. So we are saying it's a solution that we now need to move towards. We no longer need to be crybabies. We no longer need to say there's no water, but there are other solutions. So there's the surface water, there's the underground water. So from my industry, where I'm coming from, we are saying if there's no surface water, let's go underground. We extract the underground water, and we can put it in our farms. We can irrigate and maximize our production.
Yes, it's quite fascinating you've mentioned that, Yvonne, because we are looking as well at the larger scale, which is irrigation itself. Let's talk about irrigation being a pivotal part of this fight against climate change. Let's perhaps look at two aspects, which is affordability and sustainability. How best can you say that irrigation has played with regards to those two aspects?
Okay, so basically irrigation, it comes in different forms. We have got the drip irrigation, we have got the pivot irrigation at a larger scale. So we're saying perchance a person has got one borehole, how best can they maximize through the irrigation? They can just lay out pipes and have greenhouse installed at their places and still maximize on production. They can have tomatoes, they can have vegetables, and they can still be brought to the market. At a larger scale, we are saying the dams that used to contain water, or we used to hold water in the farms, now we can we resuscitate the boreholes so that at the time that the rainfall comes, we harvest the rainwater. Then we'll be able then to connect to our irrigation systems and still have the same production.
Okay.
So we're saying irrigation is playing a pivotal role in our economy, and we need to move towards using the irrigation systems.
Okay, that is quite a good contribution there, being spoken about by a water reticulation systems expert. That is Yvonne Mutindindi, who is joining us here on Economics 101. We are carrying the conversation, all things to do with sustainable water supply here in our country, Zimbabwe. This is Economics 101. Don't go anywhere. Thank you, viewers, for staying with us. You are still watching Economics 101, a program interrogating all things in this very special episode to do with irrigation systems and sustainable water supply within the light of the climate change issue across the world, and even particularly here in Zimbabwe. Now, to help me unpack all this and more, we are joined by Yvonne Mutindindi, who's a water reticulation systems expert who is assisting with regards to unpacking this conundrum that Zimbabwe is facing. Thank you so much for staying with us.
Thank you very much.
Now let's take a look at the National Development Strategy 1, which is a government's 5-year economic management master plan that is taking us to 2025, and the goal is to simply do the achievement of socioeconomic growth, and it has been reported to be on a positive trend and trajectory. Now, in light of this industry that you are particularly paying attention to today, as well as the agricultural industry, do you think improved access to water has an impact on economic development, in your view and opinion?
Okay, yes, I can say improved access to water has got impact because we are agro-centric as a nation. Agriculture has been giving us a quite huge income. We export our produces even out of the country and locally. So we are saying from the NDS1 that the government is pushing towards the water part we cannot do away with, because it has been our basic standard production. So what we are saying is we need to, all sectors of the economy need to to bring their minds together, whereby we are saying, can we share notes on how best can we improve on production? We are talking of different ministries coming together. If the water sector, the Zinwa, and all the players, so that at least we can achieve the strategies that has been put forward by the government.
Oh yes, oh yes. And still speaking in line with what government has aligned for us, we do know of several projects such as market gardening projects. We are looking at a time as well where projects like Fumvudza have been set aside for the sustainability of subsistence farmers as well as commercial farmers. Let's look at some of the contribution that water plays with regards to some of those particular government projects. We are also in light of a presidential cattle scheme itself. So all those issues, does water have a direct role to play? And if so, how best is this going to be a solution, perhaps some of the solutions you mentioned earlier?
Oh, thank you. Maybe if I can take an example like Fumvudza, to be precise. We are saying the government is giving people the seeds and the fertilizer. But the seeds and the fertilizer, without water, there's no production.
Yes.
So we need to move at the next step, whereby we then say, if a village is given the seeds and the fertilizer, where do they get water? In the midst of the climate change, can we drill boreholes for our people?
Yes.
Or can we resuscitate the existing dams within the communities, or can we construct new dams within the communities? So you then see, for us to achieve the end goal, we need to have all the things put together.
All the ducks need to be put in a row.
The fertilizer and the water.
Okay.
Yes, so water plays a pivotal role.
Okay, that's good, that's good. And we are looking at, like you rightly cited, some of the important or critical types of irrigation, perhaps. Like you said, rightly said, drip irrigation is also one of the solutions that can be looked at. But taking a look at perhaps once a bore has been drilled and drip irrigation then becomes the solution in a greenhouse or in a market garden, how has some of these projects that have already been initiated in societies and communities played a role with regards to, one, taking care of the family and also growing the gross domestic product of Zimbabwe?
Okay, maybe I can give you an example of a place which was affected by Cyclone Idai.
Yes.
That is in Chimanimani.
Yes.
So after the Cyclone Idai happened, then the government moved forward to drill boreholes and give the people community boreholes, which have got irrigation facilities.
Oh, yes.
If we are to go to Chimanimani at the present moment, you see that it's as if Cyclone Idai never happened, because government chipped in with water irrigation facilities. The families in Chimanimani at the present moment, they do have gardens. They are producing for the market. They are producing for their home use. So we're saying despite the challenge, but when the government chipped in, they were given a backup plan. Yes. So that they'll be able to produce for the market and for their home use.
Oh, yes.
So we can say, despite the challenges that we are having with the climate change, but we do have other adaptive measures that we can work with, which can help our people and our economy.
Okay, okay. And let's talk about all the things to do with food security, as you've hinted to already. Do you think that irrigation will take Zimbabwe from perhaps where we are now to being the entire breadbasket of Africa, or retaining our position within Southern Africa as the breadbasket?
Okay, thank you. So what I can say is we now need to move from the norm. We now need to move to be more innovative, whereby we are saying the challenge is there. There is no water. The rainfall patterns have changed. It's beyond anybody. It's beyond any human control, yes. So we are now saying, now that there is the underground, which we can go towards, can we drill boreholes, maybe per village, so that the people within the same vicinity can have access to the boreholes and can maximize through the various types of irrigation, either the drip irrigation or the sprinklers. For those who are doing farming at large scales, we as well now need to ask ourselves, how best can we have access to water? Can we harvest the water? can we drill boreholes so that at least production can be maintained, and then we retain our status of being the breadbasket of Africa.
All right, so
Yes.
clearly outlining that water is life and is
Yes.
the centerpiece of all production with regards to farming here, and has been espoused by our very special guest who's joining us here on Economics 101. That is Yvonne Mutindindi, and we are taking a look at our third and final segment where we're interrogating a few of the topical issues. So you don't want to miss this final segment that is coming up next on Economics 101. Don't go anywhere. Thank you so much for staying with us here on ZBC TV. This is your premium show, Economics 101. And today we are discussing all things to do with water as well as a clean water supply with regards to this climate change conundrum that Zimbabwe is facing. Now, my name is Kurtley Gwindi, and joining me in studio is none other than Yvonne Mutindindi, who is a water reticulation systems expert, who is also going to break it down a little bit. Yvonne, thank you so much for staying with us.
Thank you so much.
Yes, we want to perhaps navigate to the issue to do with sanitation and clean water. Access to clean water is very important, not just within the farming context as we were previously discussing, but even for the communities to be drinking clean water. And how best or how important has that been to the nation with regards to its availability and access?
Okay, thank you very much. So when we talk of sanitation, we cannot separate water, because a clean environment needs water. A clean community or a clean city needs water. So we're saying for there to be, when we put together and we really understand what do we need to achieve with regards to sanitation, you then see that we need water accessibility in towns. Let's say in Mbare, where there are farm produces, farmers, they need clean water so that they'll be able to sell clean produces. So what we are trying to achieve, availability of water actually treats a lot of things, because we are saying if there's no water, we have got cholera, we have got typhoid. These challenges will give a burden on the nation at large, whereby the hospitals will be full of people who are not feeling well just because we didn't treat the problem to do with clean environments.
Yes, because taking a look at that, last year I think there was a slight outbreak in specific areas of this typhoid waterborne disease, and many reports did come around, but I think now we've seen the recent upsurge of currently this cholera waterborne disease once again that is ravaging not just Harare but even other epicenters within our country. Can you say climate change or whatever is happening within our global warming environment is what is causing some of these challenges to then come up, or some of these spiraling of diseases to come up again?
Oh yes, climate change cannot be separated from the problems, because when there is no water, which is being caused by the changes in the climate, it means people are now exposed to eating unclean fruits, unclean vegetables. So we are saying we now need to come up with solutions on how best we can counter the problem. Look at the days when we used to have COVID. We're talking of people masking up. Yes. The challenge was there. Now we have got the cholera problem. Maybe the problem is to do with water. So we need to treat the problem before we move to having people to die every day. Can we have clean water? Can all the cities, all the villages, and all the communities just have access to clean water? This
Yes.
can be achieved through the boreholes, through all the water infrastructure being resuscitated so that people can have access to clean water.
And do you think there's enough education with regards to some of the steps and measures? Awareness. We do know that there's a corporate social responsibility that people like yourself within your industry have to play
Yes.
with regards to raising awareness and visibility of some of these challenges that we are currently facing with regards to cholera. Is there enough information being sent out, and are we doing enough?
Okay, I can say the government of Zimbabwe have been doing quite a lot through educating people. But you know, people are people. There's a common saying that if you want to hide things from a black person, just put it in writing.
Yes.
So I would take it, it's just an initiative whereby at company level, at a school level, at a government complex, everywhere there should be somewhere where it's written and people are educated, especially with regards to sanitation.
Yes.
I'm sure this one will help everyone to at least know that there's cholera, there's typhoid, and that there are challenges if we don't conform to sanitation standards.
Oh, yes, yes. And finally, as we wind up our conversation, climate change itself has also led to the loss of jobs by many people. And availability of water can lead to the formation of empowerment projects such as horticulture. Now, at times, like you rightly said, that we face times and circumstances in which you have to adapt and show measures.
Yes.
How has horticulture played a role with some of the climate change jobs, or some of the jobs that have been lost as a result to climate change?
Okay, so when we are talking of horticulture, we are saying a small piece of land, but maximizing on production and with the available water systems. So let's say we are to install a drip irrigation system on a 1 hectare garden. What is the expected output of production? That is the bigger question.
Yeah.
So it's no longer all about having a 10 hectare land or a 20 hectare, but within a 2 hectare with the available limited water resource, the production. So you then see there is people can still deliver to the market. People can still have income through their garden, their small gardens. So agriculture, horticulture really has been giving people jobs. But what needs to happen, especially to the Zimbabwean people, is to be educated that when you've got a small piece of land, you can still have a garden, still have the same production, and still deliver to the market.
Oh, yes. And
Yes.
definitely you're bringing smart solutions to the table. Many of our Zimbabweans and those who are watching us here on Economics 101 have probably learned a whole manner and method different from what is being currently applied in light of this climate change situation. Now, your final message as we close up this show, as well as perhaps an important manner in which you want to portray the current situation and the current solutions that you'd like to bring to the table.
Okay. My parting words will be, as Zimbabweans, we need to adapt. We need to appreciate that climate change is real. And we need to educate ourselves and our families and the community that we need to adapt to the change and have production.
Oh, yes. Thank you so much. And that is a water reticulation systems expert who has joined us today, speaking all things to do with climate change as well as the smart solutions being offered in Zimbabwe. Thank you so much, Vion Mutindindi, and we do appreciate you, and we do hope you will be coming back soon.
Oh, thank you very much.
Absolutely. And that has indeed brought a wrap to Economics 101, a very special episode in which we are discussing all things to do with this and more. Please do make sure you keep on staying tuned at the same place at the same time, and obviously always more insightful discussions, discourse, and programming here on ZBC TV. But for now, from me, Curtly Gwindi, the crew behind the scenes, and everybody here at Pocket Hill, it is a goodbye and God bless Zimbabwe.
ZBC News, the real African voice.